Hello and welcome to the live stream. I'm Amanda Call. I am continuing to work on a page from my webcomic. This is chapter 24, page 13 of Age of Night. I started doing the pencils on this one last week on the stream. And I got farther in the interim, but I realized I haven't finished it. I thought I had finished it. I was mistaken. Turns out I didn't. So we're going to go ahead and try to finish the last couple of panels here before I move on to starting to ink it. Usually I try to make sure that the pencils are done but from one week to the next, but clearly that didn't happen. So we're just going to finish these up real quick. I've only got 2 panels left. One of them's a little close-up insert panel here. So we're just going to get that squared away and then move on to inks, which finishing the pencils on this page shouldn't take me but a minute. So, I mean, like not a literal minute, but not very long. So I've already got some pretty solid roughs for these 2 panels, so it'll take me a minute to finish them up. Erase a little bit of the underdrawing here as I go, just so it's a little bit cleaner when I go to ink it, because as you can tell, oh hi James, as you can tell, I sometimes leave these pages for like a week and don't work on them. Like a genius. To be fair, during the holidays, it's like amazing I get anything done at all. Speaking of, I just went to the post office today and spent like $100 shipping stuff to people. So James, if you've got a package coming, as do several other people, and a whole bunch of cards. And I'm sure I forgot people because, like, I'm a complete mess this year. There you go. That panel's already done. That took me all of 3-ish minutes. So I'm going to finish this last panel here. We've got the edge of a building here. Just want to firm that line up a little bit to make sure that when I come back, I remember that, yes, it is supposed to be there. That's not some random stray line I didn't mean to make. So much stuff to send out. Yeah. I think today was like the last like guaranteed shipping day for like standard shipping. Like if you still just sent it regular old first class, it would still get there. I think you still have a few days for priority. But I don't really trust any of that with how chaotic this year has been. So it's just like a week and some change ahead. Yeah, I think that's as close as I want to cut it this year. Even then, I won't be terribly surprised if stuff doesn't show up on time. That's not really I don't blame the Postal Service. Things have been nuts this year. There's some lovely shrubberies. I'm going to start doing this other shrubbery over here. Just get some little shrubby shape in there. And the edge of this tree. That's right up next to the wall here. Erase a little more underdrawing. There's some other trees over here, if I recall correctly. I don't know why they weren't in my underdrawing, but I'm going to put another one over here. I'm going to put some kind of like... I got to be careful through here, though, because that's a lot of lines that I could accidentally make tangents to. So I think I'll leave the rest of that without really actually filling it in. I might just do some very light hatching in there, but I don't want any solid lines to come through here and make tangents between these two panels here. So a tangent would be if, like, you have a line from this panel and a line from this panel that are somehow connected, which creates this very confusing visual thing where it looks like they should be part of the same image because the lines meet up, but they're not part of the same image. They're separate images. I have 3 separate images here. Gotta be very careful with this space in like an inset panel like this to not cause confusion there by making tangents. Happy little trees. My happy little trees and my happy little shrubs. All right, we're gonna add a little bit more detail to this underdrawing before we finalize that. This is really just a mannequin at this point. So we can firm that up just a little bit, especially since there's a little bit of perspective going on here. So let's see what we're gonna do. Just kind of figure out where some of those forms are gonna be. I'm still not used to Kamari's new outfit. I keep on having to reference my sketches of it and be like, oh yeah, that's what she's wearing now. Because she had been wearing the same thing for ever, and now she's wearing a completely new outfit, which is similar to her old outfit to kind of show that she would still, given her druthers, she would still try to wear pretty similar to what she had worn before, because that's what she likes, but that she did, in fact, lose the set of clothing that she had been wearing previously. All right, look, drawing board. You got to stop trying to escape. I don't appreciate that. All right, the perspective on the top of that wall is a little bit more extreme than it would be that close to the horizon line, so we're just going to calm that down a little bit. Alright, I'm going to sharpen my pencil real quick and hopefully not break it. I was having a heck of a time with this one, with the thing where you sharpen it and then the tip just falls off. It's the worst. Like, it looks like it's thinking about it. Please don't do that again. Please don't do that again. Hate it. All right, so finishing up Kamaria down here. Where is my eraser? There it is. That space is a little bit narrower than I feel comfortable trying to do with the eraser that's built in on the pencil. All right, and you may notice there are no speech bubbles anywhere on this page. There are not, in fact. This is entirely a textless page. Happens every once in a while. What's going on with your face here? Your face is not doing the right shape. Let's try to fix that. That's more like it. Kamaria's got a very strong, like, kind of diamond shape to her face. Very strong jaw and cheekbones. Ah! Drawing board. Come on. All right. Got our arms tucked under there. I did at least work on the page a little bit over the past week, even if I did not finish it. So at least I don't have a ton to do before I can get into inking, which is good. All right, so there is Kamaria. Now I still need to do a seam and a little bit more in the background, and then this page will be all drawn. So let me tighten up his little mannequin a little bit. Add a few more details here. Try not to get my big head in the way. Seriously, drawing board, why? His headdress kind of flowing out behind him. His mantle. Little hip poofies. Ankle poofies. All right, I think that helps. I think that helps firm it up enough. He's rushing out after her. That's not the right shape at all. All right, let me try that again. Why isn't there a cat in these panels? He's in this panel. This one. It's shifting from that scene. This is like the transition page where we shift from the scene that's currently in the midst of going live on the website to the following scene. So sometimes you have like a harsh cut where we just jump to something else happening, and sometimes you kind of gently shift from one to the other, which is the case in this one, which was basically all I did in the last chapter. Was in chapter 23. It was like everything took place in the same location, so it was all just like shifting from scene to scene. I don't know how effective other people found that, but I thought it was an interesting kind of different way to do it. For me, anyway. What's going on with your ab muscles here, my dude? She said, as if she were not the one drawing them. All right, so there's the outer wall of the garden. I've got a seam there now. It's got this little, like, brickwork border on it. I'll put a little bit of like weeds and stuff kind of growing up along the edge of the wall here. There we go. All right, so the rest of that is kind of not really going to be able to see. It's inside here. There's like bigly going to be some shrubs and stuff there, but that's all going to be very, very lightly hatched in, so it's not overwhelming because that's far off in the background. Thank you. That's a lot of people. That took a little while to work on. All right. So the only other thing I need to add to this background is getting some of these pavers down. Stick to, oh, cool. I'm not in frame. Let's try that again, Amanda. Want to make sure I stick with perspective grid here. I don't have to put my lines for this on top of the lines for my perspective grid. I just have to make sure that I am following their direction. So as you can see, they're evenly spaced pavers, so they appear to be closer together when they're farther away and further apart when they're closer. They're getting smaller in the distance and larger closer to the viewer. Because that's how perspective works. That's the crazy way our eyes perceive things. So here, yeah, here, there, that one should be there. There we go. Okay. All right. So that is a little shadow. Throw a little shadow under you. There we go. Okay. Cool. So now the penciling is done, finally, which should have been done before the stream started, but I forgot. So now the penciling is done on this page, and I can now shift gears into inking. So we are gonna, I've got my little bottle of Royal Talons. That's what that's called? Yes, Royal Talons. This is a new one that I got recently, and I really like the way it works with nibs, so that's what I'm going to be using today. Along with my nib pen, my little Hunt 107, 102. I think it's 107. I can never remember. But anyway, the little one, the fairly stiff little one. This one's pretty Ew, that's pretty gunky. I think I need to replace it soon. The tip is still pretty clean though. It's just the rest of it is very not clean. Gross. All right. So here's my good friend, the straight edge. Open up my ink over here. Get a little bit of that on my pen. We're going to start doing some work with tools because that part is not my favorite, so I tried to get it done and out of the way. I'm going to use my straight edge and follow along these lines here. Okay, let's not with that. I don't know why my drawing board is like being extremely uncooperative tonight. It would probably help if I wasn't still in my stupid Pocket Studio setup, but this is how it's going to be for quite a while, it looks like. Pandemic ain't over yet, people. As such, my life is still somewhat a shambles, as are a lot of people's. Alright, so I follow along on my straight edge here very carefully. The side of the triangle actually has a little channel, or I should say it's got little like a bevel. So the edge that my pen is running along is actually not touching the paper. It sticks out a little bit, and there's a smaller edge just barely inside of it that is actually the one that touches the paper. The idea there is that it keeps the ink from pooling and running under your tool and onto the page. However, if you use the triangle too long without cleaning it, enough ink will build up along the edge that your pen is running along to kind of overflow into that bevel and still end up getting all over your page, which is why anytime that I'm done, oops, that line needs to go just a little further over here. There we go. Which is why anytime that I'm done with one set of lines, I pick it up and clean it off with my paper towel because ink was building up in there. Thanks, Jay. Doing what we can. Really all anybody can do. All right, so now I'm going to do a set of lines. I'll go ahead and do a vertical set of lines across this tier. So I'm going to start over here. I'll get some more ink on my pen. And come on, don't be like that. This line's going to be fairly bold because this is right up in the front. I'm going to rock it a little bit here along each of those indentations so that the edge is still straight, but we've got the little indentations where each brick goes. Let me show you how I do that again on this side. So what I'm doing is just changing the angle that I'm holding my pen against the straight edge. So I'm holding it this way, and then I rock it in and back out, and then in and back out. Whoops. And seriously, my drawing board is out to get me tonight. So that allows me to get those little indentations without having to try to leave gaps to do it, or pick up my ruler a bunch in between and not actually have the edge be straight between all of them. It is also a little bit risky because you do increase your chances of having that pooling effect happen. that I was talking about and getting ink to pool under the edge of your tool onto the page, which is no fun. Nobody likes that. It has in fact happened to me on the stream before. It'll happen again because such is life. You do stuff enough times, things happen. Even if you are, by some accounts, a professional. I say some accounts because, you know. Yeah, no. All right, so that's that set of lines along the middle tier here. I'm going to clean off my strategy again real quick. Whoa. We're going to do some lines down on this one. There's the top edge of that wall. I'm going to do ever so lightly. I'm going to do some of these. Very, very lightly, because these are more lightly than that. Come on. Because these are back in, pretty far in the background here. Remember to leave gaps for our little weeds. And then we can do this set of parallel lines for the pavers. I'm not really trying to make them like solid because I don't want a super distracting, like geometric, really bold geometric pattern popping forward and competing with, you know, the characters that this scene are about. So I'm going to leave little gaps where I just kind of pick my pen up a little bit. Just to keep that paver pattern from getting too overwhelming. And well, one more little one in the corner. Come on. Stop trying to turn freaking paper. There we go. Okay. Clean. And I'm also at this point going to dip my pen in some water and kind of get up in there and clean that out too to keep it from getting gunky. Gunkier. Okay, come back up to the top here. Where are we at on time? We're about half an hour. So these streams last about an hour. So we're about halfway through. At the end of an hour, I'm going to need to get up and stretch. You're going to need to get up and stretch. We should all get a drink of water. That's why I usually only do these for about an hour. So, you know, take care of yourself. Go stretch for a minute before you start watching something else on YouTube. Believe me, I understand how it is. I get sucked into watching things forever on YouTube as well. This is your reminder that when this stream is over, in about 30 minutes, take a little stretchy break. I'm just adding a little bit of texture to this before I do the next set of lines, because like I said, I find doing the tool stuff kind of boring, so I like to mix it up periodically. Try to get it done pretty early on so I don't totally lose interest, but I also just can't do all of it all in one go because that's dull. Add a little bit of this texture up here to these little shrubs. Getting a little bit of scumbling action in here. Lower edge of these shrubs, a little bit shadowy. All right, so there's those little shrub edges. Oh, let's see, down here, I guess I'll be coerced into getting back to using this thing. Now that this has dried, go ahead and do these. I'm not going to bother doing every little horizontal brick there. Those are pretty small lines, and I don't really think it's necessary to use the straight edge for them. I think they'll be fine if they're a little bit more loose and wobbly. So that means I can probably finish most of the nib inking on this little panel here, since we've got a couple of figures in the foreground taking up a fair amount of space. So back here, since these trees are way in the background, I'm just going to do kind of like a little broken line to give a suggestion of where the outlines of these trees are, trees and shrubs. And then, let's see. So I'm drawing focus right here on Kamaria as she's about to leave and head towards here. So I'm going to have this tree over here. And its little light little lines pointing toward her here. I have this tree's light lines kind of pointing toward her here. Shrub's gonna have some light little broken up lines. All right. And we're gonna do those little bricks. There's a very light texture on the stone walls. And the stone walls Oh, happy little broken up lines. Yes. Happy little broken up line trees. That's what that is. Hello, Alan. Okay. No, why is no ink coming out of you? And why is there a cat hair on my page? I know why there's a cat hair on my page. It's because I have a cat. And he's like 2 feet away from me right now. All right. Do just a little bit of texture on the wall there. And then a little bit more on the brick. We're going to do some dots. More dots. Ancient internet humor. This technique is called stippling, friends. There's your artist technique vocab word of the day. Making little dots is called stippling. Cat hair does, in fact, get in everything. The thing I'm truly amazed about is every once in a great while, I find an orange cat hair, and my orange-colored cat, George, died 3 years ago. And I'm just like, look, I know I'm not the world's greatest housekeeper, but where did you come from? How are you still here? Especially because, like he never even was in this house. Like, this is just cat hair that's lodged itself in somewhere, buried itself deep to come resurface years later. I never even, and it's not like I have like a friend who has an orange cat or anything, or any neighborhood orange cat. Like, I literally have not interacted with another orange cat since my cat died 3 years ago. I've had my stupid black cat for 3 years now because I got him shortly after. I did not intend to get another cat that quickly, but I went to the animal shelter to drop off, like to donate, like my cat's old, like unused, like half a bag of cat litter, half a bag of cat food. You know, you have leftover supplies. I went to donate them, and I was chatting with the lady who ran the place, and then this little cute little one-eyed black kitty came up to me and put his paws on my legs and meowed in my face and demanded to be picked up. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. Oh no. I guess I have another cat now. All right, so just a few little suggestions. Checkmate. Checkmate indeed. You know, it's just like, I know an easy mark. Kind of a few of these lines to not have this be a great big blank space. All right. Oh, I usually do the things like swords or I mean, it's a fantasy comic, so mostly swords. Mostly swords, armor. If I were doing something more modern, then I would include things like cars or computers or appliances, but basically anything that's man-made and has a smooth, even surface. I almost always use a tool for that too, because it's not something organic. It's something that's made to be more smooth and precise than things mostly occur in nature, other than, you know, like crystals. Well, although I do actually also use tools on like insect carapace sometimes. Not all the time. Depends on the bug. All right, so we're gonna do, I'm using my French curve now. And this is the one with the nice long gentle curve, so that the shape has just the slightest curve to it. Not a sharp curve, just a nice gentle curve. But it's still very smooth and uniform. So, there's like an eraser crumb on Wynn's face. That's bothering me. Go away. These smaller curves on the end here, though, I'm just going to do by hand because trying to match that on a French curve is a real pain in the butt. That's a small enough curve, I can get it pretty even by hand. It's not like trying to get that long of a length where it would be extremely difficult to get your hand to steadily do that. I just go slow and easy and don't breathe while I'm doing it. Literally just hold my breath. I can't remember the artist's name. There was an artist that visited when I was in college. We had a lot of artists come and visit. And that's how he described doing long curves, freehand. You just go for it and you don't breathe. I was like, oh. Wasn't consciously aware that that's how you did that, but as it turns out, that is. Right, so this part of the handle is black, so I'm just going to put an X there to remember to fill it in black later when I'm doing brushwork, and this part will be hatched. There's your other art vocab word for the day. Parallel lines are hatching. Mine aren't like perfectly parallel, but you know, it's still hatching if they're not overlapping. If they're not like overlapping in like the directional sense. If they're more or less all going the same way and they overlap a little bit, that's just being sloppy, I guess. I don't think there's an actual term for it. There we go. So we've got the sheaths, sword and sheaths on his back. So all of the nib work on this panel is now done. Everything that's left on here is going to be done with a brush. Cool. But now this panel is wet. You can see the gleam of the wet ink. Oh yeah, let's check out that shine there. Oh yes. Very shiny, very wet. So I am not going to go back to working on this panel, because if I'm working on this panel, there's a very good likelihood that I'm going to drag my hand through that wet ink and give myself a bad time. So I'm just going to move on over here to this panel for now. Didn't actually have a perspective grid in this one. I just kind of faked it. I would say it's working okay for being faked. All right, similar to before, I'm going to get that stippling on this brick entryway here because we want it to be consistent with the previous panel so that we know that it's the same thing that we're seeing, because I'm trying to guide you out of this scene. This is this little transitional page where it's like, okay, Kamari is here with this group of people in this place, and now she's turning. She's heading towards this doorway. Hey, look, this is the doorway she's going through, and the crowd of people is still in here. Someone else notices that she is leaving, and we have to show him coming out through that same doorway as well that she is farther from. It seems like kind of obvious when I break it down like that, but it's very easy to like not even think about it and gloss over one of those steps and lead to a situation that's very visually confusing. That when you're reading it, like as a reader, not as the person who drew it and wrote it and knows what happens, but as a reader to be looking through this and just be like, hey, what happened? She was at the party and now she's not there. Like, have we also like jumped ahead in time? Like, is this a later scene? Did she just leave? Where did she go? Where is she now? Like, I don't understand. It's the kind of thing it's easy to not think about, and then you create a lot of confusion for your reader. So that's why, as goofy as it sounds when I break it down step by step like that, and how it seems like really painfully overly obvious, like, no, doing it the really painfully overly obvious way, as long as each of those steps is giving new information and you're not just showing the same thing over and over again. Like, again, at the party, turning to go, actually leaving, someone else seeing her leave, and then following her out as she has already clearly left. That's all new information each time. But that conveys that whole series of steps without losing the viewer, reader, whoever. I mean, it's comics. I'm like reader. Yeah. I just feel weird referring to people who read my comics as readers because that's like a word writers use to talk about their audience. And I spend so much more time drawing than I do writing that even though I've written the whole thing, it's hard to feel like a writer. Dirty readers. I greatly appreciate all of my dirty readers. You're wonderful. World builder, I suppose. I suppose you could call me that. Personally, I like, it's kind of God. I'm not going to go that far. Personally, I like the, although it's a bit clunky and unwieldy, I like for the specificity of what it is that you do when making comics, I like graphic storyteller, because that's what you're doing, is you're telling stories with images, and the images and the stories are intertwined, and you can't really pull them apart or else it doesn't work, because that's how comics are. Technically correct. Just kind of correct. All right, there's all the little bricks. I am going to add a little something to the inside here, just to help drive home the different plane here. Just the tiniest bit of shading and perspective, which means I have to tilt my paper so that my wrist will do what I want it to do. There we go. There, because that just kind of helps to make it obvious that those are two different planes, that one of them is going at this thing, that you're looking at an angle. One of them's this side and one is this side. Having one side shaded, even just subtly like that, really helps to drive that illusion. So, illusion, because this is not a wall. This is not a pipe. It's a bunch of ink marks on a piece of paper. So it's all an illusion. All right, I'm going to come back up here real quick, add just a little bit more of this this business if my pen will work. Come on, pen. All right, yes, clearly this is driving home. My pen is shaming me into replacing my nib live on stream. It's like, oh, you don't clean me well enough. I'm going to act up. Do just a few of these little lines. Is there one there? I don't know. I think I lost my pattern somewhere in here. That's okay. There's enough figures breaking it up that it's not really critical that the pattern be precise. There should be a line like right there, I think. Yeah, there was. Okay. Another one here. Another one here, and these are still keeping in perspective. Some of them are following the actual grid lines, some of them are not, but they're all following the actual perspective situation I have set up here. Come on. All right, we're at 51 minutes. Jeez, time does fly. All right, so we're in the last 5 to 10 of the stream, so I'm just gonna remind you of all the things real quick. I'm Amanda Call. This is my YouTube channel. I do these live streams every Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. So if you like watching me work on comics or other artwork, it's often my webcomic here, Age of Night. Sometimes it's other artwork like freelance illustration work, usually for tabletop games. Then you should definitely like the video and subscribe and do all that fun stuff so that you know when I go live and you can catch these. As I mentioned, this is from my webcomic, Age of Night. You can find it online at ageofnight.com. That's AGEOFNIGHT.com. You get a new comic page every Wednesday evening. It's all free online. I've got 24 chapters and counting. Well, 23 completed chapters. I'm currently working on chapter 24, which is what this page is from. Chapter 24, page 13. Well, all of the story is available for free. If you buy a copy of the comic, as currently there are 3 volumes out, you also get cool bonus material that you don't get online. It's not anything that changes the story. It's just cool and extra, and it helps to support me and allow me to keep making comics, which I like to do. And I appreciate it. You can buy PDF copies from Skirmisher's website. So that's skirmisher.com. You can buy ebook and physical copies from the big, giant Evil Empire website. You know the one where you buy everything. Yeah, they have it. You can also buy signed copies from my friendly local bookstore because I sign copies and I drive them down to them when I'm in town to like buy groceries and stuff anyway. They're called the Briar Patch. You can find based in Bangor, Maine. You can find them online and you can order signed copies of my book from them, which supports me and supports a awesome little local business too. You can also support me on Patreon. I'm on patreon.com/ageofnight, spelled like the website again, AGEOFNIGHT. I think that's all the things. That's all the ways you can help support the comic and help support me, and I appreciate it because that's awesome when people do that. Oh yeah, patrons get all of their comic pages a week early. They get free ebook versions of the first volume, at least the first volume, possibly more than the first volume of the comic, depending on the level at which you pledge. So that's another cool way to get it. along with other just like cool behind the scenes stuff, early previews of stuff that I'm working on. That sort of thing. What else? Oh yeah, you can follow me on Instagram at Amanda Call Art. It's just my name, like you see here on the channel, with the word art after it, all is one word. And on Twitter at Age of Night. I have a Facebook page for Age of Night as well, if you want to check that out, if your Facebook is more your jam, or whichever thing is your jam. I try to be most of the places. I'm not cool enough for like TikTok because I'm in my 30s. I don't understand. So doing the best I can with the social medias that I've got. All right, so that's going to pretty much do it for this evening. I started this evening with having the first 3 panels done and penciled, and the bottom 2 panels not really penciled at all. And now I've got the whole thing penciled, and I've got a pretty good start on background inks. So hopefully next week we'll be able to get this a lot closer to being done. Thanks everybody for hanging out and watching me while I draw, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.